Thanks very much, Ian, and thanks for inviting me today to this magnificent rally at this extraordinary occupation and protest, and congratulations to all those who've managed to stay the course so far, because I think the Occupy movement, it's no exaggeration to say, has lit a fire across the world and broken the political establishment's veto on the scale of change that is demanded by this crisis. And the strength of the response that has come to your protest shows that your outrage at the failed and unjust system is shared across the political spectrum of the 99% and now reflects the common sense of our age. Now, in the last few days in Cannes, the failure of the EU and G20 leaders to take action to protect jobs and living standards has exposed the democratic crisis that lies behind the economic breakdown. Because it's not that they can't act to bail out people and bail out the real economy instead of the banks and the bondholders. It's that they won't act. It's that they won't act because that would challenge the interests of the most powerful 1% and challenge a broken economy that has brought the world to the brink of economic meltdown. Because we're not just talking about a general crisis of capitalism, although it's that too, but we're talking about a crisis of a particular model of capitalism that has been forced down our throats for 30 years. It's a model based on unchained corporate power, deregulated markets, and wholesale privatization that has in turn led to ballooning inequality, stagnating and now falling living standards for the majority, environmental destruction, and the destruction of the interests of the 99%. Now, it's also brought us to the greatest crash since the 1930s, and we're once again at that point. But instead of changing direction in the interests of the 99%, the political establishment is determined now to try and rebuild a failed system and pay for its failures with the jobs, with the services, and the living standards of the majority. Now, the most absurd and laughable thing of all is that they say there are no alternatives. So here's three just for starters. Instead of bailing out the banks, take over the banks and use them to drive up investment and sustainable growth. Instead of taxing the poorest and cutting their benefits and living standards, tax the inflated wealth of the rich and city trading to create jobs and protect services. And thirdly, use the £4 billion a year in this country that is spent on the disastrous wars and occupations in Afghanistan and now Libya to fund education, health and employment for all. We can't wait for the politicians. But this movement has forced these issues to the top of the political agenda. What's needed now is to spread the movement and link up with others who are resisting cuts and corporate greed, from trade unionists and students to all those who are part of the 99% but have never been involved in political action or protest before, and turn that into an unstoppable pressure for change. Thanks very much.